Hello and welcome. This is the Zen community of Oregon, making the teachings of the Buddha Dharma accessible to support your practice. New episodes air every week.
I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in Dharma, and I take refuge in Sangha. I want to talk today about freedom in life and death. But first, let's return to the charnel ground. We've been in the charnel ground all week. 7 wise sisters planned a spring journey. One of them said, "Sisters, instead of going to a park to enjoy the spring flowers, let's go together to see the charnel grounds." The others said, "That place is full of decaying corpses. What is such a place good for?" And the first woman replied, "Let's just go. Very good things are there." When they arrived, one of them pointed to a corpse and said, "There's a person's body. Where has the person gone?" "What?" another said. "What did you say?" And all 7 sisters immediately awakened. Indra, Lord of the gods, was moved by their awakening and showered flowers down onto them. He offered them whatever they needed for the rest of their lives. One of the sisters replied, "We have everything we need. But please give us a tree without roots, some land without light or shadow, and a mountain valley where a shout does not echo. Ask anything else, holy ladies," replied Indra, "and I will gladly provide it. But I don't have those things to give." "If you don't have them," said the women, "how can you help others liberate themselves?" At this, Indra took the sisters to visit the Buddha. When the Buddha learned why they had come, he said, "As far as that's concerned, Indra, none of the arhats has the slightest clue either. Only great bodhisattvas understand this matter." So here we are at the charnel ground of this moment, sitting together, a sangha of future corpses, both here in the zendo and folks at home. The last 3 days of Sesshin are dead, gone. Can you even remember what the mind was so worked up about during the mid-afternoon session on the first day? What was even the mid-afternoon session? It's gone. A wispy memory, perhaps, traceless. What about day 2 breakfast? Remember the feelings you were feeling? The sensations in the feet, the sounds of chewing, let alone all the tastes. Dead, fleeting, vanishing. Even our memories of these things, fleeting. inchoate, appearing and slipping away simultaneously. The Buddha said a moment before his passing, all compounded things are subject to vanishing. In this sesshin, we've been exploring what are compounded things. What is subject to vanishing? Thoughts, feelings, sensations in the body, memories. Vanish. Vanish. Rebecca Ellison, who is a poet and astronomer, said, "Sometimes as an antidote to the fear of death, I eat the stars. Sometimes as an antidote or remedy to the fear of death, I look out at all of us future corpses and peer into our deaths, each one so utterly precious and unique. Though some are messy, some slow, some seemingly violent, fragile bodies laboring, the immensity of what we are shining bright, brighter still. Other times, I see a room full of skeletons, bodies reduced to their still and silent parts, bone deep in a cosmic joke, no longer able to laugh. Still, at other times, I play Hades, or the goddess of the underworld, with her deadly stare. This is the afterlife, I say to no one. What would you do if you only knew you were already dead? No matter what the theme, Sesshin is a practice of dying. It's also a practice of being born. It's a practice of entering the charnel grounds of our lives, the charnel grounds of our bodies, the charnel grounds of our emotions. It's a practice of turning towards what we have avoided or pushed away or been too busy to notice. Machig Labdrung, who's a famous Tibetan yogini, she has a teaching, go to the places that scare you. And she's someone who practiced and recommended that her students practice in literal scary places, like charnel grounds, or abandoned places, or cemeteries. But this invitation, as all invitations in Dharma, has an external quality, but also an internal invitation. And that's part of what we're practicing during sesshin. This sesshin in particular, where we summon perhaps what human beings are most afraid of, death or the suffering that we imagine comes with getting old or sick or dying. And we look directly at that reality. But also, we go towards the places in our body, the places in our minds, or emotions, that there may be some fear. There may have been, at some point in our lives, a map drawn that said, there be dragons, and we've just kind of avoided that, as the old maps warned us to do. But we know, or we have a hint, a glimmer that maybe not. Maybe that's an old map. Or maybe the dragons actually aren't so bad or so scary. Or taking one of the seven sisters' advice. Trust me. Very good things are there. Very good things are there if you look into your own death. Very good things are there if you really take stock of impermanence. Very good things are there if you move towards what you're afraid of feeling or knowing about yourself. Many of us come to Sesshin with a habit of living a healthy distance from our bodies, or come to Zen practice in general with a habit of living a healthy distance from our bodies, usually up here, somewhere in our thoughts. So Sesshin, or Zazen in general, is a kind of return, a practice of return, returning to befriending these exiled emotions or sensations that make up our embodied life. Our conditioning as human beings, and really just as organisms, on so many levels, is to avoid what is unpleasant and to move towards what is pleasant. So when we encounter unpleasant physical sensations or emotions in our embodied experience, the conditioned response on so many levels, sometimes quite wordless, is something is wrong. Something is wrong. I shouldn't be feeling this. Something's wrong with my body. Something's wrong with reality. Which can set off a whole host of strategies to fix, to change, to kill, to avoid feeling what's arising directly. So we set up these conditions of Sesshin that help support us in moving deeper into the charnel grounds, deeper into that uncharted territory where there may be dragons. Because the sister's cooing to us, trust me, good things are there. And some of you have experienced this. Some of you have experienced that the fear of feeling fear, or the fear of feeling whatever the sensation is usually a lot worse than the actual experience of the sensation itself. Right? Someone said yesterday in Sanzen, it's like, oh, and then I realized my body's actually already feeling it. There's this whole strategy going on. We thought we had to do something to feel it. And then when we just really kind of relax all of that, or become more intimate with the experience, there's kind of this realization of, wow, my body can do this. I can do this. There aren't dragons. Another way this is said is the way out is through. It's been said in more graphic terms in the Zen tradition. When asked how to escape cold and heat, Master Dongshan replied, when hot, let the heat kill you. When cold, let the cold kill you. We face death in many forms during Sesshin. Probably you've experienced death by the noontime nap. This is when we fall asleep so deeply and wake up and have no idea where we are. Can't even remember our names. For a moment, perhaps, I've woken people from the noontime nap as shuso. It can be scary for the person on the other side, too. You are in Sesshin. You signed up. I did not drag you here. I did not drug you. Death by bowing. Death by the unexpected turn in the kinhin line, when you're so deep into your kinhin that you forget to turn and just keep walking straight with your eyes closed. Where am I? Death by the wake-up bell. And then this form that Dongshan invited, I call death by feeling, or death by sensation. And it's this invitation that I've been reiterating already to relinquish strategies, thoughts about the stories that cover over, and feel our feelings directly, feel the embodied sensations directly. And Dongshan called it a death. I call it a death because two parts of our minds, it can feel like a death. Parts of our minds that have defended those areas feel like that will surely kill us. Another death that we encounter during Sesshin is death by curiosity. Curiosity doesn't only kill cats. It's a great destroyer of fear and separation. Experiential curiosity is an invitation to deeper intimacy. It's through curiosity that gap between sound and the one who hears becomes thinner and thinner, or that gap between breath and the one who breathes becomes thinner and thinner, so there is just sound, just breath. Curiosity invites us in. And when we bring curiosity even to fear or separation or the sense of self, we're a little closer. What is that actual experience? Then there is death by giving up. Sometimes we think that the only way to feel something or to concentrate or to get through Sesshin is to effort, to strain, to bore into the breath, to bore into sound, to feel that sensation 155% with everything I've got, and my knuckles are turning white. And it can be skillful in times in practice, this kind of determination, to exercise our will, to know that we can direct our attention. And then usually at this stage of Sesshin, there's an invitation to recalibrate how we are engaging with effort, to ease up, to give up the fight to make something happen or attain some fleeting state of concentration that our minds, someone in there, the one who's keeping track of how good our samadhi is, thinks is good, better than these other states we could be having if we gave up effort or eased up. It can be telling when we ease up and maybe there are more thoughts or sensations that are unpleasant, and the mind says, my meditation is ruined. All these things I don't like are back. The gift of easing up is to really see that we aren't our thoughts or those sensations. They're fleeting. They're vanishing, as the Buddha said. They're the compounded aspects of experience. And when we ease up, we also can taste a freedom that isn't dependent on a state of mind. At this stage of Sesshin, our effort, especially when it comes from control, can really get in the way of a deeper intimacy, a deeper freedom. Another kind of death we might encounter or experience in Sesshin, and I'm using the word death because to parts of us, giving up or easing up feels like a death. It feels like we're giving up on our practice, giving up on our vow, we're giving up on any hope of attaining awakening, because the parts of us that like to be in control think they know what we need to do. Death by devotion. There's a little bit of Rumi in all of us. Sometimes we don't know how to feel what we are feeling or to let go of control. Yes, I want to let go of control, but I have no idea how to do it. The teachers keep saying, let go, but I just feel like this and I can't let go. I don't even know how. Chosen Roshi, I say this probably every time I teach, but she would always instruct me to ask for help. The ancestors, she would say, the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas, their help is available. The trees, the forest, the Sangha, our help is available. There's this mysterious thing about Sesshin and sitting in a group. Is sometimes we carry each other's pain. And we're okay with that. That's part of the work. So feel free to let go of the idea that you have to carry it on your own. And let us hold some of that for you. Because it's a lot easier to let go of someone else's pain. Offer it up. Offer up whatever you think you can't feel. Offer it to the group, offer it to the Buddha, offer it to the sky. Pray for help. Chant Jizo's mantra. Invent your own song of openness and letting go. All of these turning towards asking for help can help us surrender a little bit more. Can we ask for help without an expectation that it look a particular way? Death by devotion is also actualized through trust. Trusting the practice. Don't know what to do, come back to the simple practice of feeling your breath, or feeling your seat, or hearing the sounds in the room. Keep it simple. That's the Zazen that has been taught for ages. The Buddha practiced breath practice his entire life. Trust the practice, trust the schedule. Just keep showing up for yourself, for the community. If it's hard to show up for yourself, show up for us. We need you. We need your practice. It's a beautiful time in practice when we're less concerned about our own states of mind and we're showing up for everyone else. Trusting that my Zazen is a benefit. Your Zazen is a benefit. No matter what is happening in your mind, no matter how distracted a part of you is saying you are, because we're all so dropped in at this point. It's so still in this endo. So even if there is some surface mind chatter or something is kind of erupting in your heart and it's hard to be with, this is the territory of Sesshin. This is the charnel ground we walked into together. There are some spring flowers too. I see them on the trees. Another death that we encounter during Sesshin is death by impermanence. So we've been inviting you to notice change. It's interesting and makes sense when someone's dying that their last teaching is on impermanence, but that is the Buddha's last teaching to us. All compounded things vanish. Must be pretty important. So we've been inviting you to notice change, to feel and experience your life more fully. Our bodies are impermanent. And that's not just the truth that they will get sick and they will age and they will die, giving life to something new, but also radically so. Dogen Zenji famously said that a single day is composed of 6,400,099,980 moments. A snap of the fingers, that was 65,000 moments. That was 65,000 births and deaths. Jomon has been inviting us to notice birth and death. One way I practice with that is, like, can I even feel the previous moment? Like, okay, here is the sound of my voice. You could try it with sound. Once you hear the sound, it's already gone. We can't hold on to anything. The verse of the Diamond Sutra at noon is, if you try to hold on to a single word, you stumble, and then the people next to you can't find their place. That's part of why we're chanting that chant. But it's true with body sensations too. It's true with all compounded things. And we can know that very intimately, and it's quite interesting. We cannot feel even a millisecond, even a nen of the previous moment. Yet this moment is full. It's full. There's no gap. It's seamless. At least it seems that way. And so it's easy to overlook. Of course I can recall something that you said a couple of minutes ago, or I can recall breakfast, but it's fuzzy and I don't have all the details, especially from like an embodied level, because this moment's full, and this moment's full, and this moment's full. Notice impermanence. And then we have death by shikantaza, the final death of Sesshin. Maybe you can think of more deaths. Death by just sitting. It's a Zen teacher's fantasy to die while in Zazen. But Zazen is a practice of dying. In the Komyozo Zanmai, Koan Eijo instructs, don't identify. This is a key to shikantaza. This is a key to Zazen. Don't identify. Stably, calmly practice shikantaza, just sitting. Hongzhi, another teacher, a close cousin of our lineage, says non-interference is a matter of oneness. As our awareness deepens and we are able to notice moment to moment impermanence, as we're really able to observe experience, the changing nature of experience, who is aware of change? Who is aware of the changing sensations of breath? Who is aware of thought when you're thinking? Who is aware of this constant performance of life and death? And what happens if you rest into that awareness? Simply allowing life and death, change, sensation to happen itself. This awareness, this just sitting, might have something to do with what the 7 sisters requested from Indra after claiming they had everything they need. A rootless tree, an echoless valley, a shadowless field. What remained after you died in the guided meditations? A couple of people in Sanzen really highlighted yesterday, as we were doing the 1 year to live meditation, that it was like they died and there was still Zazen, or life burst forth. What remained after you died in the guided meditation? Where were you 20 years after your death? 100 years after your death? Where were you? 5,000 years after your death? We can and do identify with our bodies, with birth and death. I was born such and such time, I will die. With illness, with impermanence, with stories and thoughts about experience. We're very familiar, actually, with identifying with compounded existence. That's pretty much who we think we are. But what happens when we don't? When we just let be? Don't identify. Just let the tension be. Let the resistance be. Let the tiredness be. Let the sounds be. Let the discomfort be. Let the digestion noises be. Let the mind telling you you are doing it wrong be. Let the weather be. Let the body odor be. Let the insights be. That's hard. Let the lack of insights be. Let the worries about the future be. Let the expectations be. What is left when you stop trying to control experience and just simply sit here with what is? It's hard to do. That's why Shikantaza is an advanced practice. We like to be somebody, even when it's painful. Isn't that interesting? I like to be somebody who's suffering. I like to be somebody who knows what they're doing in meditation. What if we could just let all that be? What remains when thoughts are allowed to liberate themselves? When body sensations are allowed to come and go? When feelings are allowed to come and go? When Master Dongshan the Chan founder of the Soto school, or the Saodong school, was on his deathbed, his attendant came in and asked, "Teacher, you are sick," but then said, "Is there one who is not ill?" Dongshan replied, "There is." The student inquired further, "Well, does the one who isn't ill look after you?" Maybe he was trying to get out of doing his job. Maybe I don't have to come in if you've got that guy. And Dongshan replies, "I have the opportunity to look after him." What does that mean? Who is this one who isn't ill or isn't irritated or who isn't thinking about how many minutes went by and what they're going to do during kinhin? Who is that one who's just aware? And then Dongshan says, well, I have the opportunity to look after that one. To look after the one who is aware. What would that be like? We can do this too. To turn our awareness back and look at the one who is aware, the one who is meditating, the one who's aware of all this change. And the student, a good curious student, asks Dongshan, well, how is it to look after this one who's not ill? And Dongshan replies, then I see that he doesn't have any illness. The body's still ill. He is on his deathbed. Yet he's aware of what we sometimes call the deathless. The one who is aware isn't ill. He doesn't have any illness. We too have the opportunity to look after this one, the one who's been free our entire lives, who is free in our birth, who will be free in our death, who is free right now, free. Are they looking after you? What happens if you look after them? The commentary on this koan is pretty good. I'll read some of that. I appreciate the Zen teachers and the koans because they have a playfulness about birth and death. Dongshan also asked a monk, when I leave this leaking husk, where will you go to meet me? The monk had no reply. Dongshan said in verse, though the students are many, not one is enlightened. The mistake lies in pursuing the paths of others' tongues. If you want to be able to forget physical form and obliterate tracks, work hard to diligently walk in the void. When he finished the verse, he shaved his head and sounded the bell. Sitting in the hall, he bade farewell to the assembly and died. They wailed in grief. So Dongshan opened his eyes, and it gets better, and had a meal for stupidity prepared. And then he extended his life for 7 more days, after which he officially bade again farewell to the community and passed away as he sat there. Master Ikkyu said, I won't die. I won't go anywhere. I'll be here. But don't ask me anything. I won't answer. Dogen Zenji says, this is his death poem, 450 years, I've hung the sky with stars. Now I leap through. What shattering. 450 years, I've hung the sky with stars. Now I leap through. What shattering. In the Parinirvana Sutta, we have the story of the Buddha's passing. The chapter, How the Blessed One Passed into Nibbana. So right before this, he says, Behold now, students, I exhort you, all compounded things are subject to vanish. Strive with earnestness. And then the Blessed One entered the first jhana. Rising from the first jhana, he entered the second jhana. Rising from the second jhana, he entered the third jhana. Rising from the third jhana, he entered the fourth jhana. And rising out of the fourth jhana, he entered the sphere of infinite space. Rising from the attainment of the sphere of infinite space, he entered the sphere of infinite consciousness. Rising from the attainment of the sphere of infinite consciousness, he entered the sphere of nothingness. Rising from the attainment of the sphere of nothingness, he entered the sphere of neither perception nor non-perception. And rising out of the attainment of the sphere of neither perception nor non-perception, he attained the cessation of perception and feeling. And the Venerable Ananda spoke, saying, The Blessed One has passed away. No, friend Ananda, the Blessed One has not passed away. He has entered the state of cessation of perception and feeling. So the Buddha went to his deepest state of meditation, and he went slowly. He went one by one through these different states of concentration, absorption, all the way to the bottom. And Ananda, not knowing that the Buddha was doing that, just perceived the Buddha as having died. And another monk who could see more clearly what the Buddha was doing corrected Ananda and said, no, the Buddha didn't pass away. He's just in the deepest state of jhana or samadhi, the cessation of perception and feeling. But then the Buddha came out of those last four jhanas, the deeper states of absorption, up to the fourth jhana, and that's where the Buddha passed away. Maybe for meditation nerds, it's a beautiful story. It is to me. I'm like, yes. When Chosen used to read that, she would tell the story of like a whale. And I don't know if this is true. I tried to look it up today and I couldn't find any information, but she would say that some whales, when they know they're going to die, they take the deepest dive, all the way the deepest dive they can, and then they come up to the surface and die. And some whales apparently float to the surface and some whales sink to the bottom. That's what I learned today. But like it or not, I mean, like whether it's true or not, like that's what the Buddha did. He went into the deepest state of mind he knew, and then he came up, and then he passed. It's just, it touches me. Yeah, like I imagine, okay, here's this man dying of sickness, dysentery, very, very, very ill. And there must have been some just pleasure or joy in diving into the deepest samadhi before passing. Here's the person's body. Ananda, where did the Buddha go? Dogen Zenji, the Buddha, Dongshan, what is left of them? Here we are, over 2,000 years from the time of the Buddha's passing. What is left of the Buddha? There was, I think, one of the Buddha's fingernails on display in Portland a few years ago. Relics, some relics, stories. We have their words. Where have they gone? Are they dead or alive? What about you right now? Are you dead or alive? What about when your body dies? Will you be alive or will you be dead? Do we leave the body or does the body leave us? Do we leave our thoughts and stories or do our thoughts and stories leave us? Totsujos, Tosotsu, sorry. He has 3 barriers. His name is one of them. So that's 4. He says, I'm going to leave you with these. These are very relevant for our sesshin, but they're really relevant for our Zen practice and the practice of being a human. The purpose of going to abandoned grassy places and doing zazen is to search for your self-nature. So you could say the purpose of going to sesshin and doing zazen is to search for your self-nature. Now, at this moment, where is your self-nature? Now, at this moment, where is your self-nature? When you've attained your self-nature, you are free in birth and death. How would you free yourself when the light in your eyes falls for the last time? When you're about to die? When you have attained your self-nature, you are free in birth and death. How would you free yourself when the light in your eyes falls for the last time? When you are free in birth and death, you will have nowhere to go. After your body separates itself into the 4 elements, where will you go? When you are free in birth and death, you will have nowhere to go. After your body separates itself into the 4 elements, where will you go?
Thank you for listening to the Zen Community of Oregon podcast, and thank you for your practice. New episodes air every week. Please consider making a donation at zendust.org. Your support supports us.